Excited to have everyone here. We have so many guests and you are so welcome, and we do hope that you join us again. We do have memberships available. Our membership chair will talk about that, Ms. Ellie. But we're so happy to have everyone here, and appreciate your patience on getting seated. Let me go ahead and introduce our head table. Starting on my left, this is Miss Joanne Cowell. She is our American Heritage Chair. And Carol Thomas, she is our Campaign Chair. Ellie Laborde, she is our Membership Chair and First Vice President. And I'm Peggy Madreen, I'm the President this year. And of course, you will get a more, a better introduction, but of course, State Representative Rick Edmonds and his beautiful wife, Miss Cindy Edmonds. And on the end, we have our program chair, Lynn Cox-Brown. She coordinates our speakers and so forth. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce them. And also give a little special thank you, or a big special thank you, actually, to some of the ladies who, without them, we wouldn't be here right now. And first of all, Miss Terry Hagan, she is our corresponding secretary, publicity chair. Yeah, she does everything. She keeps us together. Terry, where are you? There you are. She's still in the hall. She was taking money. And also, Janine Kogler. Terry is a past president as well. Pardon me? And she's a past president. And then Miss Janine Kogler, raise your hand, Janine. She is a past president as well, and she has decorated, she and Terry both have decorated the room so beautifully today. Thank you for that. And also we have with us our Armed Forces Chair, Miss Pat McClary. Let's see, where is Miss Pat? There she is. We're so happy to have you back, Pat. Pat suffered a hip fracture recently, and she is doing so good. So we're happy to have her back. And of course, our yearbook directory and bylaws chair, Ms. Sandra Campbell, right here. And our literacy chair, Judy Gilbert, raise your hand. And let's see, is Susan McBray here? She's our legislative chair now. Okay, and of course,
what about Betty Poche?
And Miss Betty Poche. She's on the officer. Miss Betty Poche is on our executive committee. She is our recording secretary. Raise your hand. Okay, thank you. And Susan Kramer, where is Miss Susan? Oh, she's taking our money. She's on the executive committee. She is also our treasurer and our community service chair. Okay, and I got a few more people that I'd like to just recognize real quick here, some special guests that we have. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Miss Cindy Edmonds is our chaplain. So now she comes when she can because she's so busy with all her children, grandchildren, and this high maintenance guy here. But we're so happy you're here. Alrighty, so a few special guests. I see peeking through the back door there, Judge Mike McDonald. If you'll wait, and we'll try to find you, or they're going to try to find a seat for you today.
There are two.
Oh, good.
There's two right here.
No, one of them mine.
One of us. Okay, one here. There's one right there too.
All right, and we also have two of our distinguished members of the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council, Dwight Hudson and Matt Watson. Where's Matt? There he is. Both of these guys spoke at a meeting recently and just blew us away with all their fabulous knowledge and information. They were great. Let's see, and we have Jill Dyson, who is a member of the East Baton Rouge School Board. Jill. We have James Lee with Americans for Prosperity. And, now we also have Jay Hudson, who is the campaign representative for Rick Edmonds. Jay? Thanks. Okay, so we had him on here, but anyway, let's see. All right. Got it. Jonathan Davis, where are you? Jonathan is a former president of the Greater Baton Rouge Young Republicans, I think is.
Correct.
How's the, I know you have a new name.
We do. It's the Greater Baton Rouge Young Republicans.
Okay, great.
So, you got it
Yeah,
all.
these guys are great. They're young Republicans. We need more of them. All right, and also we have a very special guest with us as well, and he's going to say a few words here in a few minutes. David Pierce. He is the Deputy Campaign Director for U.S. Congressman Garrett Graves. David, just for a few minutes in a minute. All right, and I want to give a special welcome again to all of Rick and Cindy's friends who have come to support them today. We are so happy that you guys came. And so, y'all raise your hand. I want to see a show of hands. All right, let's see. Well, we're going to bypass any just regular business today because it's kind of a special day. We'll keep it till after Rick speaks. Rick and David. All right, so I guess without further ado, why don't we go ahead and hear from our first speaker, David. Oh, I am so sorry. You know what? I was so excited, I didn't start with a prayer and a pledge.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Let's start with our prayer today. Cindy, would you lead us in prayer?
Father, we thank you for this magnificent day, Lord. Thank you for our freedom in America, Lord. I thank you for the people here today to love on the Republican women, but to love on my husband as well, Lord. I thank you for life. I ask that you give us health, wealth, and wisdom in all that we do. Bless this food in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Joanne, would you lead us in prayer? Oh, wait, behind the speaker in the flag. Well, it's back there. Someone
There you go. Watch the ceiling fan.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, now we can hear a few words from David Pierce, the Deputy Director of the Garrett Graves campaign. He's just going to give us a little introduction.
I don't mean to look real important, but I'm going to get back here just so y'all can all see me. I don't mean to be presumptuous here.
We're just happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Look, guys, Congressman Graves, we're running for re-election. He got in office in 2014. He has been busting his tail up in Washington, D.C. There's plenty of headlines. There's no dearth of information online. You search his name and he's adding amendments to stuff. He's bringing bills. They're getting passed. It's not just symbolic legislation. He's moving traffic projects that have been here in Baton Rouge for decades. People scratching their heads and just taking them for granted. He's noticed that, look, if you spend $1 on flood mitigation, you save, multiple times more on the back end rather than making repairs and fixing thousands of houses. So here's the deal. We've got an opponent in Zachary. We've got an opponent from Livingston Parish out of Holden. Okay, lady out of Livingston Parish is a Democrat. Her name's Andy Saison. Gentleman out of Zachary, his name's Justin DeWitt. Right now, if you watch the news, we have an angry minority, and in Louisiana it's a minority, especially in District 6. And so a lot of people say, oh, here in District 6, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. Oh, Garrett's good. He's going to be fine. He's been working hard. we've got an angry minority, and it's a midterm election. Okay, so in a midterm election, the turnout is almost half. And so that means to win that election, you just need half of those votes to tip the scale. All right? It doesn't take that much to steal a midterm election. And so we've got to take this seriously. We've got to take both these opponents seriously. We've got to take the whole campaign seriously, and we need y'all. Okay? Most of the force is volunteer-based. Okay? Yeah, everybody raises money, but we need y'all on the ground. Okay, next week, this is a soft ask. We'd love to have anybody and everybody come out to an Independence Day parade in Kenilworth neighborhood. Okay, it shows support. If Congressman Graves is in a fire truck by himself, it doesn't look that good. All right, so we'd love to have y'all out there, get a t-shirt, throw some things, high five. You're going to see people you know probably all along the path. Okay, come out there with us. Talk to me afterwards. I'm passing around a clipboard for you to sign up, put your email on there, and that's just going to keep you in the loop. That doesn't, commit you to anything, although we want you to commit to something. Okay, that just keeps you in the loop, so that you can say, oh yeah, I can come to that phone bank. Oh yeah, I can knock doors. That's right around the corner from me. Okay, so we just want y'all to mobilize just one little thing this year. Okay, we don't want to overlook these opponents. We want y'all to be on the team. He's doing great stuff. I mean, if you're thinking, man, when's the last time I heard of it? Go Google him and see all the stuff he's doing. I mean, it's incredible. Thank y'all for giving me a chance to talk. Please sign a clipboard. If you haven't yet, I'll bring it back to your table. I've got one that's circled back to me now. Grateful. I'm going to talk to you later too, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dave. All right, Lynn, would you introduce our speaker today?
I would be delighted to.
Thank you.
Okay, the moment y'all been waiting for, I know, and it's my pleasure to have the privilege of introducing our speaker and our friend, Representative Rick Edmonds of Louisiana's 66th District. Rick is a conservative Republican who's been married to his high school sweetheart for 44 years, the beautiful Cindy. They're the proud parents of 4 sons, 4 lovely daughters-in-law, and 8 grandchildren. And just to give y'all a little bit of background on Rick, he grew up in Shreveport. He attended Fair Park High School, where he met and fell in love with lovely Cindy. And they met while singing. So began their life's journey together after that. After high school, he felt a strong call from the Lord to the ministry, and he's been a pastor at churches in Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Tampa, Florida, and has done an awful lot of work for Lord Jesus. He's a Master's of Theology degree from New Orleans Baptist Seminary. And this is interesting. To back up just a little bit, when Rick was in school and a young child, he told his teacher every year on career day that he was going to be the governor of Louisiana. All right. But God had other plans for Rick and Cindy for a while. As they became parents, ministered in churches, worked with youth groups, all the while building a strong foundation for a Christian marriage. All the while he was ministering to others, he preached that each of us should pay attention to and be active in what was happening in our communities. He kept up with politics. Not long after the Edmonds moved back to Baton Rouge in 2014, Rick felt another call from the Lord, this time to run for office himself. And we're glad he did. He was able to defeat an incumbent legislator in the House District 66. While serving in the legislature, he has stood solidly firm against tax increases, including last week's sales tax extension. He's worked hard to decrease wasteful spending and has fought for life and religious liberty. He's a member of 18 committees and has sponsored over 202 bills as primary sponsor. Wow. Very busy man. He's joining us today to give us an update on this year's multiple legislative sessions. And he's making a big announcement. So stay tuned. I'm so honored and proud to introduce you to our friend, Rick Evans.
I don't think I need this, but I'm going to use it anyway. Gosh, what a great crowd. Thank you all for being here today. I'm just so excited. I just can't help it. Can't keep my feet on the ground almost. It's just a great day. Let me just do this. I am thankful for all the friends and family members that have joined today. Cindy and I are blessed. We have this wonderful family. My oldest son, Richie, who I was going to introduce him, just walked out the door, and his wife, Holly. You saw two little cheerleaders running around. That was Ramsey and Stella, and Sullivan's here somewhere. He is an 8-year-old star baseball player already, so we're grateful for them. J.B. and Candace are against the wall here. They have one son, Pierce, and they're here today. And Ryan and Carla, they are here as well, right here. And they have two sons, which is Reese and Beecher. And then my baby boy is on vacation, so there are some important things, but vacation with his family sort of outweighed this one. I'm sorry, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But anyway, we were grateful for Zach and for Stephanie and their two children. They have a little girl named Emma, a little boy named Graham. So we're blessed. If I quit now, you don't hear anything else. I want you to know I am so blessed, so honored, so thankful, so grateful to be a part of everything the Lord's allowed me to do, and to be a state representative. Let me just say this. It's off the notes and off the thoughts, and I'm going to do some of that as well, because the update, I'm going to give you a little update. And by the way, your boss does a phenomenal job. Gary Graves is a phenomenal congressman. We're grateful for him. Michael, we're glad you're here today to represent Congressman Abraham, another outstanding congressman from the U.S. 5th District up in the Monroe. It's a long...
Kentucky, Mississippi, we got it.
It's a big deal. But there's not a finer man in Congress than Ralph Abraham. If you haven't met him, you should. He's a great guy. Matt and Dwight, y'all are great friends. Thank y'all for what you do here in Baton Rouge, and so many others that I get to serve shoulder to shoulder. I'm just honored. And it's a great privilege to work with you guys, and I appreciate it so very much. Well, you want to hear about the session. So they call us in the session now, they call us freshmen. So I'm a little offended. I'm not offended by much in life, but this is session number 10 that we just closed. For those of you that are not advocates for the legislature, you don't keep up with all those things, you're supposed to serve 1 per year, and you can have 4 in your term. So you would do 4. So I'm not doing the math, but I think I'm almost completed my eligibility as a representative in Baton Rouge. So we're at 10 and 2 to go, so we're at least going to make 12. It's been a lot of work, a lot of hard work, but let me just say this. Personally, this has been my best year as a legislator. Regardless of the chaos and all the things you read in the paper, this has been my best year personally. And let me just sidebar this just for a moment and tell you, I had the opportunity to author 3 bills related to adoption here in the state of Louisiana. And I am thankful to tell you today that these 3 bills are going to lead towards complete reformation of adoption in the state of Louisiana. They're going to serve as legislation that will pattern, other states will pattern after this, and the governor has already signed those 3 pieces, and I want you to know they're pro-family, pro-life. Thank you. And I am so thankful that when I was campaigning in 2015, knocking doors on a door-to-door, I knocked on the door of a gentleman named Craig Mills. And Craig says, "You're Rick Edmonds." And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "I've been waiting for you." Now, if you don't know what that's like, it's like, I've never met him before. Would you come in? And I came into the house, and my life changed that day of seeing how adoption and certain laws that needed to be changed. And I started that journey 3 years ago and was able to culminate that with a variety of organizations, including Catholic Charities and St. Elizabeth Foundation, Louisiana Family Forum, Louisiana Right to Life, and also the Louisiana Law Institute, all of us working together. So I'm just here today to say, man, I'm just thankful to the Lord and grateful to be able to do that. It's a great experience. Now, to the budget. Well, have we said enough about the budget? I want to be able to say some things today that are a little different than what we sometimes get in the paper. Okay, maybe they don't have enough time to write it all, but we have enough time to sit there and all. I serve on the House Appropriations Committee, and we review every agency, every budget, and what you're hearing about is what I believe has been in flux at best. That would be the easiest way to put it. So here's where we started. We started with a looming fiscal cliff. Now that looming fiscal cliff meant that we were not going to have enough money to finance the agencies and programs that the state have to offer. And we would have to cut services, and we would have to eliminate employees, and we would have to throw grandma out of the nursing home, and we were going to have to not play football at LSU on Saturday night, and regardless if you think they're playing well or not, we weren't going to play at all. And we were going to close hospitals. There were going to be people that were not going to be able to have health care service in the state of Louisiana. And that looming cliff about 6 or 7, maybe 8 months ago was $1,700,000,000. And we said, no, that we don't. And I want to say to you today, I disagreed then and I disagree now with that narrative. And I stood firm to say, I just don't agree with that number. Well, the number fell to $1.4 billion. And I said, and others said with me, we just don't agree with that narrative. And then it was 1.1, and then 1.004, and then 994. And we said in joint budget, I asked the governor a question directly. How about the Trump tax plan and the monies that are coming in? I've called an analyst, and I did. I called an analyst in Washington and said, what do you think this is going to mean to the state budget of what we would collect? Well, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $220 to $400 million. I made that statement at the table, at the desk. I said, Governor, what about that money I am hearing from an analyst? It's going to be $200 to $400 million. They scoffed at me. They turned around. We've never heard a number, $400 million. Long story short, that number turned out to be $341 million. Somebody in D.C. knew what they were talking about for a change. Yeah. Did they not? Yeah. Outside our When we applied those numbers, now we were down to about 649. And guess what we said then? We still do not agree with that narrative. We're not willing to tax businesses. They are taxed enough. We're trying to stimulate this economy. We are falling behind the national average every day right now. We're not moving forward in some of the areas with some of our businesses that we should be. Yeah, there's some great pockets. Lake Charles is, man, it's blowing up over there. That's awesome. I'm so glad they are. But talk to people in Shreveport and see what it's like. Get on the phone and talk to people in Acadiana and see what it's like. We have some good things happening in Baton Rouge. There's some things happening in New Orleans. But statewide, we've got issues. And some of us said no. We don't agree with the narrative at 649. We said no. And today I'm here to tell you there's some reasons that we said no. We didn't just say no because we're obstinate. We're not obstructionists. We're not looking to say, some of us, you are Republicans. I should be talking to the red of the red today, And I know what crowd I'm in. I get it. I did tell you what I did when I knocked on the doors in District 66 and what I heard. Don't raise my taxes. I'm a businessman. Don't raise my taxes. I'm a person that's we're working both jobs. We're doing everything we do. We're trying to put our kids through school. Please don't raise our taxes. So you know what? I have not voted to raise your taxes in District 66, and I've taken thank you. I've taken quite a bit of abuse over that. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do the next time I have the opportunity. I'm going to hold to the narrative that I support people, and those people make the decisions, and I'm going to listen to my constituents, and I am going to lead and vote that way. That's who you are, and that's who I am, and I'm glad and honored to do so. Somebody has to hold the line. So here's what we did. Some of us said no. Now, I have to kind of, I'm all over the place, and I don't follow, as y'all notice, I'm not going to follow a bunch of notes and agendas and all that. But let me just say, as we were looking at this particular number of things and trying to decide whether we thought this was right or wrong, or should we be up or down, we were looking around at things, and there were some certain things that just pops up. Like, for example, did you know that we're at a standstill budget time period in the state of Louisiana? Yet, in the executive budget presented to us this spring, we had over 550 new employees that would be hired. Now, we're at a standstill budget, and even if you swap some of those over, that still means at least 233 brand new positions that we're going to fund. That still means that the Louisiana Department of Health is going to grow by over $400 million when you put it together with all the federal funds and everything else. It still means that the cost of government is expanding. Now, what we were told is, here's what we were told about 2 weeks ago. We were told, wow, we're going to give you $500 million back. How could you turn down $500 million? We're going to give it back to you. Let me rewind that for you just a second, could I? If you go back to 2016, when we didn't have enough money, it was $2.2 billion then. We were told we had to raise taxes on business. We had to clean pennies so that we would get more business tax that way. We'd have to raise a fifth penny, which we did, and became, I didn't vote for it, but we became the highest sales tax area in the nation. But we told folks, here's what we told folks. In 27 months, that will roll off, and we won't pay that anymore. But now we've come up and said, well, you know, we still need about $650 million of that dollars. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you half of it, we're going to give you back. So see, that's a sales tax reduction. No, here's the real story. The real story is, in July 1st, that penny goes off, and we've now raised your taxes back again. And this time it's not for 27 months, it's for a longer period of time. Now, I understand that there were folks that were trying to fund this particular program and that particular program, and I'm for many of these programs. And I'm for the people of the state of Louisiana with all my heart, just like you are. But there comes a time, ladies and gentlemen, when you have to look up and say, we can't afford the note. We can't look forward and say, oh, just all of a sudden, magically, this is just sort of going to happen. And so the governor said, well, I'm flexible. If you guys would give us some options, well, maybe we could follow some of those options. Can I pull out a little sheet? I keep my scratchings here in case y'all, But I thought I'd give you something that I thought was pretty important. Since we're at a standstill, and a lot of this has to do with, say, employees, and you want to know where the money goes. Well, I looked at just the line in the Louisiana Department of Health. And if you look at their TO positions, that means the table of operations, okay? That table of organization, what that means is this is the authorized positions that they can hire. In 2017, in a standstill budget, they were able to hire 5,587. So that would mean the standstill budget in 18 become 5,794. And that would mean a standstill budget in 19, the one that's in front of us, it's 6,048. That's your standstill budget. And what happens is you begin to look at each one of these categories. We put up, before the administration, there's over $156 million in positions that are funded. Are you still with me? Some of the guys fuss at me because you get in the weeds on some of these things. Let me stay in the weeds for a minute. We have hundreds and hundreds. In fact, we have over 2,000 funded vacancies that are in your budget. But we don't fill them. So we said, well, why don't we just don't fund them for 1 year? That makes sense. We don't have to fire anybody. That's not eliminating anybody. Nobody loses their job. Nobody loses their benefit. Nobody, not one person. Why don't we just put that on hold? That would be a standstill, would it not? But we didn't choose to do that. What we choose to do is we choose to take that money, not give the money to an employee, not hire them. We take the money and move it somewhere else and spend it in another category within that agency. You said that can't be possible. Oh, well, it's not only possible, it goes on year after year after year. We were told the Louisiana Department of Health didn't have any money. Gotta have another chart. Y'all like charts? I like charts. These aren't my charts, by the way. These come from either the appropriation office or come from the administration. Anybody heard that we're broke? Anybody heard that phrase? Yeah. Wrong phrase. We're past broke. Okay, so when you're this far in the hole, you're past broke. Okay, so anybody ever live past broke, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You're past broke. So we were told we didn't have any money, and we were going to have to close nursing homes. Well, Louisiana Department of Health decided that they were going to have an excess this year. We were trying to get an idea of what that excess would be. Well, at one meeting it was 25 million. The next meeting was 35 million. Well, maybe it's 40 million. We to this day haven't got a firm picture on what the overage really was. And so right before we voted on this sales tax, this came to our desk. And on our desk it showed a bunch of funds that we have never heard of. I asked at the table, I asked Dr. Gia, I said, these funds, I'm not aware of some of these. What are the names? She goes, well, some of these are Act of God funds. I said, Act of God fund. Okay, what's an Act of God fund? Well, you know, a hurricane. You can't plan on that. Money goes there. You don't spend all the money. So you know what? We found one Act of God fund. Well, it was the Hurricane Isaac. And lo and behold, we needed money. We said we didn't have any. We're dead broke. We're past broke. We found $2,963,823. You want me to keep going? Sure. Inpatient hospital care. We didn't have that. You know what? That's $5,509,000. We didn't spend that. Outpatient care. We didn't spend that. So there's $1,000,001. Hey, how about long-term personal care? Well, that was another $1,080,000. How about nursing homes that we just said we're going to kick them out of? Well, we got $1,287,000 that we're not going to use on that one. When it's all said and done, we decided to put this towards a 13th payment. That's too much weeds. But I'll tell you what the bottom number is. We found, that is the Department of Health, and presented to us on the Appropriations Committee when we had no money. We found $120,191,668 broke dollars. That's what we found. I'm not here to criticize. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm telling you, as my Republican friends, there is a time when you have to say, enough is enough. You have to provide leadership to say at times, you have to say no. You know, I love my kids. I do, with all my heart. But I remember, and I don't have time for the story, but I remember on vacation one time when we turned a burner on in the oven. And I told them, don't play with the oven. But you know, I don't have time to tell the whole story, but my son JB decided he'd turn all 4 burners on as hot as they could go. And my 2 younger sons, who I question their IQ at times, they decided they'd put their fingers on those red dials because they were beautiful. Ooh. I told them no. Ooh. Not because I didn't want them to play with this wonderful Hasbro toy, but because I knew I loved them and I didn't want harm to come to them. I knew there was something better for them at the beach that August vacation. But they proceeded and put their fingers on the burner. And the result is, a lot of butter came on their hands. That's what ended up happening, because they had line after line after line on their hands. Was it from a father that didn't love them? No. Was it from a father that didn't care that they would have a great vacation? No. Was it a father that didn't provide, that took them to Florida and rented a condo? And no, wasn't any of that. It was from a father that said, you have to say no sometimes. That's not a toy. Well, here we are today. We're going to have to take some long looks. In particular, Medicaid expansion. We're at about 500,000. It's the crown jewel of this administration. We're now at 1.6 million that are somehow on Medicaid here in the state of Louisiana, and it's costing us billions of dollars. And what's happening is the price tag is going up, and our dollar of giving is not going up. Now let me say that again. The price tag is going up, but the price of what we're giving is not going up. So what are we going to do about that? We're either going to change how we do some of this, or we're going to be right back at the second version or the third version of a fiscal cliff. That's where we're going to be. I don't know what it'll be next year. I'm not a prophet today. I'm not coming with a crystal ball. I'm just telling you what I saw as your leader. So I feel like I did my job for you to try my best to try to hold the line. It was not enough. We've now advanced in July the 1st. You will see a decrease. You will. You will see a decrease in your sales tax. It's now at a 4.5 of a penny. So you're going to see something change slightly on your tax bottom line. That is the truth. It should have gone back to 4. That's all my argument was. And then if you want us to raise the tax after that, I'm good with that. That's what you want. But we should have said, in my opinion, we should have said, this is the way that it is, and we've got to raise the taxes to get back to this point. That's all. That's all the narrative needs to be. Tell the people not what they want to hear. Tell the people what they need to hear. And if we'll do that, honesty, integrity, it always prevails. Well, my wife always tells me she'll give me those, move along, move along, move along. I can stay here with you all day long. It's really easy for me to stay in the midst of a room of people that I love to be with and talk about things that I love to talk about. I can do that. But through all of this, I want to tell you a little story that's really, when you hear these things, you don't know what to believe. I know now, because I've been elected, I'm a politician. I don't like the term any more than anyone else. But it didn't start out that way. It started out, and although you introduced and said when I was a little boy, I used to want to stay up at night and watch the election returns. I loved it. My mother ran a strict ship at the house I lived in. It was spelling, math. Maybe you get through with your English assignments, and maybe I might let you stay up and watch 30 more minutes of TV. For me in the fall, I loved to watch the presidential election return. I loved it as a kid. I just loved it. But God changed my path when I was 18 years of age, and I wouldn't change a thing. And I went a totally different direction. And now here I am, long story short to say, in these days of my life, maybe who knows, the last days of my life, last chapter season of my life, God is allowing some of the desires of my heart to become a reality. And I have been able for the past 3 years, through all that stuff we just talked about, to fall in love with the House of Representatives. Every day, when I walk into the chamber, I have this pin on my lapel. There's not a day that the very first thing I think about is putting this on. It means that much to me. When I walk in that house, I look up every time and remember when I was 15 years old. I can remember. I don't remember much. Cindy will tell you, she's got the great memory. I'm lapsed. But I remember when my parents brought me to the Capitol. I remember my parents telling me you can do anything in life you ever want to do. You can become anything. I remember that. My parents instilled in me that kind of value system. You can become anything. That's American, isn't it? That's the blood that's in my veins and the blood that's in your veins. And I walk in that house at 15, and now I've walked in that house now, and every time I walk out and in, I look up and think, wow, what a blessing that I get to do this. That's really and truly. I know you're going to think it sounds like a speech, and you have the right to interpret any way you want. But the truth is, that really is the way that I feel. And because of that, today I feel like, after about 7 or 8 weeks of prayer, I feel like, although I love the house, I feel like that God has another station that He wants me to, and another journey that He wants me to take off on. And so I've consulted with my closest family and friends. I've prayed diligently, and I've sought after those that I thought, and I just said, God, you've got to speak to me on this, and I want to make sure I get it right. And I believe I've gotten it right. So today it's my honor to announce my candidacy for the Secretary of State of the great state of Louisiana. This is the way I want to start this. I know it's a little warm, but I only do these things a couple times in life. Would you ever do something like this? So please bear with me for a minute. Can I have a couple of minutes before we break out into more sweat than our sweat breaks out in sweat? I want to dedicate this campaign on the very first time I stand up. I want to dedicate this campaign to my wife, Cindy. She's the real deal. You know why I'm running for Secretary of State? Because she believes in me. She believes in me. She believes I can do anything. I can't, but she believes it. She knocked on people's doors and told them I could do and would do everything. I haven't, but I tried. But she believed in that. And as I thought this through about what I would say to you today, I thought, my wife still believes that integrity is a mandate for public office. That's what my wife still believes. She believes that integrity is a mandate for public office. So I promise you today to think that through. The word integrity, I like simple things. I like things I can understand quickly. Integrity means it's the person you are when no one's looking. That's what integrity is. Anybody can fake somebody out in the public. We can all do that for a period of time, right? But it's who you are behind closed doors. It's who you are with your family. It's who you are with your friends and people you go to church with and people you live your life with. That's what real integrity is. And I wanted to say this critical statement about this particular office of such vital and great importance. I wanted you to hear this today. It's as much about the who you are as the what you do. I don't want to say that the office is not important. I want to say, and I'll say a couple of minutes about things that are important, and I'll get to that in just a second if you'll allow me. There are some real important things that the Secretary of State office does and is responsible for. It's a constitutional committed office. So it's vital importance, don't get me wrong. But the who you are, in my opinion, is even of more importance. And I want to be that man for my wife today. I want to be able to say that there's several things I want to be able to say when you make a decision about who you're going to support and who you get behind and who you'd be willing to knock a door for or make a phone call or pass on a Facebook video. I want you to know I'm the son of Richard and Elsie Edmonds. That's who I am. I'm an only child. My parents are in heaven today, but you know what? They taught me values that I couldn't have bought. That's who I am. I want to tell you today that I'm Cindy's husband. 44 plus years. We fell in love. What a story. You're not going to believe it. You're going to say that's just a political story. My dad and her dad were best friends in high school in Plain Dealing, Louisiana on the border of Arkansas. My dad was a little short. Can you imagine that? A little short. Imagine that. Quarterback of a little football team. Her dad was a big strapping fullback. All my dad had to do was turn around and hand it to Hawkeye. J.B. Harville. That's all he had to do. And he bust through the line. He went on and attempted to play. Hadn't it been for an injury, he attempted to play for Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. My dad was the son, number 7, of basically the poorest people you'd ever meet in the world. They had nothing. So he came to Shreveport, Louisiana, and went to work at the factory in Libby Owens Ford Glass Company. And for 27.5 years, he held a hammer in his hand and built boxes for auto glass windows. And there's never a day I've ever lacked a thing, not one. My dad took care of everything I ever needed, always. So what a family I've grown up in. You know what? I'm the father of Richie, Jay Ben, Ryan, and Zach. 3 out of 4 of them are in this room today. If the 4th was here, I could say for all 4 of them, they're my best friends. They are. We hang out together. We watch and argue over LSU football all the time, especially me and Jay Ben. We hang out with our kids around the pool. We cook and barbecue. We don't fake family. We are family. I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean that honestly before God to say how grateful and thankful that I am. See, I believe that my wife is correct when she says integrity is a mandate. And you can see how one lives their life. And I'm asking you to look into my life. I want you to. You know what? I am pops to Sullivan and Ramsey and Stella and Pierce, Reese and Beecher and Emma and Graham. That's who I am. I'm pops. That's who I am. They walk in the door. Sometimes I get a hug. Sometimes I don't. Cindy always gets the hug. I'm a Christian. That's who I am. If that's a problem and I can't be elected because I say that my life, there's been a time in my life when I asked Jesus Christ to be the Lord and Savior in my life, then I can't be your next Secretary of State. I don't go to church because I'm political. I don't go to church because it's the right thing to do. I go to church because I love to go to church. I love to sit in the front row. I love to sit on the second row. I love to sing with all of my heart. I love to preach a sermon. I love to hear one. I love to go to church. I do. That's who I am. I hope you do too. If you don't, you should. You should have that relationship because it's the most important decision that a man or a woman or a boy or a girl could ever make. And I hope that you'll do that. I have a life record, and I want you to look at that. I've served as an administrator of a very large school and daycare. Thousands of people that have come in contact with. It's given me the administrative tools that I couldn't have ever gone to school enough to know. But that's sort of what happened in my life. And in doing so, I've been blessed to create a life record. Second thing is my wife still believes that trust is a mainstay for leaders to earn. Trust is it's got to be earned. You know, I can walk up to you and say, hey, you should trust me. And you might say, well, okay. But if I'll live it long enough, if I'll lead it long enough, if I'll tell it long enough, if I'll make decisions long enough, I want you to look at my record. I want you to see what I do with my family. I want you to know what I've done in the growing up periods of my life. I want you to know what I've done in the legislature. I'll be glad to debate that with anyone and everyone of what has been put before me in the past 10 sessions. I want you to know. And if you see a thing that you've got an issue about, I want you to talk to me about it. And if you can't support me because of that, I understand. And I'm okay with that. But I am blessed to have been able to build trust with people. My colleagues, I believe they trust me. I believe that the business community in this area and other parts of the state, I believe they trust me. I've not given them a reason to trust me. And I'm not going to give you one to not trust me. I want to take the Secretary of State's office to a place that it may not have been in a long, long time. I want to take it to where you look up and say the Secretary of State's office is a shining light. That we're investing in people all over the state, all 64 parishes. I want to be a great listener to the registrar of voters and the clerks of courts. And I want to sit with them and hear what their needs are so that the election process in the state of Louisiana is pristine. And we've got to have that. With all the news that's out there, whether you think that it's fake news or you think it's Russian news or you think you don't know what to do with all of it, let me just tell you this. Your life can change in a millisecond the pushing of an entry button on a computer. You've been held up by a gun? Anybody ever had a gun put in their face and they lost everything? There's one. I haven't had that experience, but I tell you what I have had. I have gone to the bank and got my results, and I had zero money in the bank. First thing I did, I don't know what any good husband should do, first thing I did is pick up the phone and said, Cindy. What are we doing? What did you buy? Where did you go? Babe. I hadn't spent anything. I was a victim of cyber crime. I had people in Hong Kong spending my money. People in Texas spending my money. They'd made a fake credit card. They'd taken all the money we had in the bank. We had nothing. Not a dime. Overdrawn. That's a scary thing. That's called cyber crime. Well, guess what? Somebody could steal and ruin our elections, and I want you to know as your Secretary of State, I will not let that happen. We will hold honest elections, thorough elections. Our data will be pure. We'll have the finest voting machines, and we're going to have to replace them all under the tenure of the next Secretary of State. And I promise you, nobody will outwork me as your Secretary of State. Nobody. I will work hard every day. In fact, we're a team. When you get me, you get Cindy. I will make certain that we have secure voting and reliable voting, accessible voting. I'll make certain that the person that's starting their American dream, beginning their business, you know where they do that? They do it in the Secretary of State's office. And I will make certain that the atmosphere of young men and women or old men and women that come in with a dream that they have had in their heart for all their lives, I'm going to make certain that that atmosphere is one of a high five, man, go do it. You can do anything. That's the way it'll be if you elect me to be your Secretary of State. My wife still believes that hope is the mindset that will bring Louisiana back to prosperity. I've had enough of all the whining and bad news and we can't do anything and all the things. If you don't do this, you're horrible and you're an obstruction. Let me tell you what. We need a dose of hope in the state of Louisiana. We need a big volume of it. I need your help. I'm a positive person. I think you know that. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm happy. I'm going to be happy tonight. I'm going to go home to this one right there, second blonde over. Let me get that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit in my chair, have a Diet Coke, and I'm going to be in love with her. Tomorrow morning I'm going to get up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a Diet Coke, and I'm going to get on my computer, and I'm going to be in love with her. I can't promise you I can fix everything. I can't. But I can promise you this. I will run this office with integrity, and in trust, and with hope. And we will touch the state of Louisiana, and we will be visionary. And we will look up and say not what we can't do together, but what we can do together. And I promise you this, if I can't change it by myself, I will wrap around people not only in this office, but people in a variety of offices to say we will build an allegiance of men and women that will be so determined that we will not give up, pack up, or quit until we reach that goal. Ladies and gentlemen, I desire to be your next Secretary of State. And I ask today for your humble vote and your support. And I want you to know this above everything. Regardless of this election, win or lose, I will do everything that's within my power to bring honor and dignity and strength to this campaign. I love you and appreciate the opportunity to be here at any time. You know, I'm so very grateful to the women of Louisiana in particular here, and what you mean to me, these women that represent Republicans and others here in the state of Louisiana, in particular here in Baton Rouge. I want to say I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you all my family and friends for being here. May God bless America, and may God bless the great state of Louisiana.
All right.